All right, all right, all right. We are live. We're a couple minutes behind, but we did it. Right, Zach? We did it, man.
We made it happen. That is my fault why we're behind too. Technology, man. I'll tell you what.
Fuck it, man. It's all good. Well, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world, or good evening or good morning. I guess some parts of the world are still in morning here, but it's 3 p.m. here on the East Coast. It is the third day of this crazy month of September in the year 2020 that never seems to end, man. I mean, it's going quick. How is life and time moving for you, Zach?
Seems like 2020's moved faster than any other time in my life, just because of all this nonsense and legit craziness going on. But man, it's been I can't complain. It's been my best year yet, business wise. So I mean, hey,
yeah, we'll get into all that in a second here. Well, first and foremost, I want to welcome you to the podcast. We were yapping back and forth on email, on DMs for a bit, and I'm thrilled to have you here and have a conversation. I'm a fan, man. I'm a big fan of you and what you're doing and everything that you built. And I really want to talk about your journey and your story. So I would love to take a couple minutes here to set the stage and enlighten us, bring us up to speed on the life and times and trials and tribulations of one Zachary Babcock, sir. I don't know why I was so fucking dramatic there. I just felt it just felt naturally, man.
I felt cinematic music in the background.
Like, I know I could play that. Sorry, that intro music. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, dude. I'll give the Cliff Notes version, and we can always unpack more. Grew up in Ferguson, Missouri, without a father figure, wanted to be accepted by other people. Did a bunch of drugs and stuff growing up. Well, smoking weed, and then eventually got into heavier drugs. By the time I was 19, I went away in prison for over 4 years of my life. Got out for about 2 years, and then I went back just 20 days before my twin sons were born. That was it for me. I was done. I said, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get back. Ended up doing 8 months, got out for the next 4.5 years, didn't make any money, struggling to try and figure it out. And then last year broke through. And then now we're scaling a 6-figure podcast marketing agency, and we're just going all in, man. Really happy and excited to be here.
Fuck yeah, man. And kudos to you. So let's talk pre-prison, man. Who were you before you went to jail?
I love that question. They say, "Who were you?" Because everybody's in entrepreneur, like, you got to start with why. No, you can't start with why, man. It's you can't. How can you determine why something's important to you if you don't know who you are in the first place? Anytime I made any dramatic shift in my life, it always was with identity. Like when I woke up in prison, missing out on my twin son's birth, I said, "This isn't who I am, man. I'm a good father, man. I love my kids. I'm a good person." You know, it started with identity, and then, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But who I was before that, I was someone that didn't have a sense of identity. Honestly, I just wanted to be accepted with other people, and I know we all do to an extent because that's human nature. But I would say I was probably doing it more than what average people would do, I guess. I wanted to be accepted with everything, and so I would do things that were outside of my character in order to fit in.
Yeah, and running with the wrong crowd, and shit, you make bad decisions, and it's insane. And you and I have had conversations. I got involved with prison reform a couple of years ago, and for me that was eye-opening in so many different ways. And first and foremost, stepping out of my comfort zone for a middle-aged dad bod white Jewish kid from Long Island to step into a correctional facility. That was eye-opening. And for me, the most eye-opening part was having those one-on-one conversations with the men and women on the inside, and learning that so many of them were just like me in so many ways, yet made one critical mistake and got caught, made one bad decision. And that, unfortunately, is what defines them in that very moment. But that's not what they want to be known for when they come out. And that's what second chances are all about. So when you came out, how'd you get your first second chance?
I started off in network marketing, dude. Funny story. I didn't even know what network marketing was at the time, so you couldn't scare me off with the word pyramid scheme either. And I did that for about 2 years. I no longer do network marketing, but dude, I am so grateful for that experience, dude. I was able to produce almost a $2,000 a month residual income within my first 6 months because I was hungry, dude. But towards the end there of that 2 years, my business started falling apart. I was only making like $300 to $700 a month after auto ship.
It's tough.
Yeah, I just lost my passion for it. But it taught me so much, man. It really did. And it showed me that, hey, man, my past doesn't define me. I can create a life by design. So I'm super grateful for it.
I fucking love that, man. Don't let your past define your future and your
Amen.
present. And that's tremendous. Listen, I learned not to ask people about the details on the inside. You know, I learned that the hard way, right? But I want to know what was the toughest lesson that you learned when you're on the inside?
Man, so this stayed with me for the rest of my life, and it continues to empower me today. And I'm so grateful for it. And it's gonna sound crazy that I'm grateful for it, but I am, man. I wouldn't change anything, you know. But so I was in the hole. Is it okay if I give kind of a long-winded answer? Because
It's your show, man. Well, it's my show, but you're my star.
it was my show. I could tell me and you could kick it like all day long, dude. But yeah, man. I was in the hole. It was for tattoo violations. The hole is the prison inside of the prison. You can walk. It's an 8x10 cell. You can walk 3 steps one way, 3 steps the neck. It's
Fucking cage.
Yeah, it's a cage. It's dark, dirty, lonely, depressing. Very little to no human interaction. It's not nothing that you would no place you'd want to be. Well, I was in there for tattoo violations. I was down there for 2 months. Well, at the beginning of that, 2 weeks into that 2 months, they called me back to the captain's office. I'm thinking that somebody told on me for something I hadn't gotten in trouble for, or they were trying to get me to tell on somebody else. I get in there. I'm 21 years old, right? I've been locked up for 2 years at the time. Captain's sitting behind his desk. He's like, "Mr. Babcock, have a seat." I'm like, "Dude, I ain't got nothing to say, man. Put me in my cell. You got me down here for 2 months, and that's it." And he's like, "How long have you been locked up?" I'm like, 2 years. Like, "You know, when you come back here, it's nothing good, right?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't care. Put me back in my cell. You got me for some tattoo violations. I ain't got nothing to say." Then he's like, "Yeah, your mom called us and informed us over the weekend she had to break into your bathroom with a screwdriver, and she found your sister dead on the floor with a needle in her arm." And yeah, man, that very last thing that I was expecting in that moment. And so they were cool enough to let me go back in my own cell without a cellmate or nothing, but they gave me a 30-second phone call, legit 30 seconds to my mom. We're bawling our eyes out, and then the phone hangs up. And then for the next 3 days, I'm in my cell, just bawling my own eyes out, thinking about all the mean things I ever said and did to my sister, literally going crazy because I'm in there by myself. And man, this is the part that was the toughest lesson, but it's so powerful. I woke up on that third day, Adam, and I was like, "Dude, you know, I'm not a real religious person. I'm spiritual. I believe in God, but I'm, you know, whatever." But I was like, "God, you know, like, I don't know why I'm still here, but there's got to be a reason because I'm still alive. Like, what can I do right now to find happiness and peace?" And I didn't know what the hell I was doing at that time, dude. But, you know, I later on read, this was in 2010. I later on read 7 years later in Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. When you hear a question, your brain searches for the answer. A lot of times when we're in those situations, we're like, "Why is this going to happen to me?" And we look for the wrong answers. Well, I just so happened to get lucky enough and I asked the right question. I was like, "What can I do right now to find happiness and peace?" Long story short, I developed this crazy routine. If you think OCD is crazy, you don't have nothing on what I was doing. But I was doing all these things every single day, like reading the Bible at the same time, working out at the same time, eating at the same time. Yeah. And dominated my space. And I found a peace of mind in a really, really dark time. And that taught me that, hey, man, no matter what happens to you, because you can't always control what happens to you, but no matter what happens to you, you can always control how you respond to it.
That's a tremendous life lesson, and I'm sorry, brother, that you had to learn that the hard way.
Thank you, man. I look at it as a way that, you know, my sister went out, you know, and it empowered me in a strong way of, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I miss my sister and shit, but man, that really, you know, empowered me, and it didn't, you know, it's good came about it, is what I'm trying to say.
So how do you pay it forward?
Dude, this right here, and I tried getting out when I got out of prison. I tried after the network marketing, tried doing the life coaching stuff, and never worked out, never panned out.
Coaching's a tough gig, man. Coaching. So last question on the past life, man. And I say this kind of kiddingly, but I'm really fucking curious. What was the first meal that you had when you got out?
Bro, you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
Taco Bell.
No, but chicken fingers at Applebee's, because that's all I could remember, and I was so overwhelmed. Like I was like the day I got out, I just did 4 years, and so like I'm a little institutionalized at this point, and I was weirded out by society. For one,
Has to be.
yeah, you can't. There's
sensory overload.
Yeah, you could talk to women for one, and then everybody's walking around real friendly and smiling and trying to have conversations with you. And I just spent the last 4 years minding my own business, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. What was it like to see your sons was it the second time, right? Because you were there for their birth, right?
So when I got out the first time after that 4 years, I stayed out for 2 years, and then for almost 2 years, and then I went back.
Okay,
20 days before they were born. Yeah, that dude. I only went back for 8 months that time, and that felt 10 times longer than the 4 years and 4 months that I did the first time.
I can't even imagine, man. I can't even imagine. Was that your motivator to fucking straighten yourself up and never be there again?
Yeah, dude. Like, so that's where the why does come in. Like, I changed first and foremost through identity of who, and then, you know, the why is like the push through part, you know what I mean? But you can't start with the why. Cause like, dude, I tried quitting smoking cigarettes for years because I was like, well, I want to be around for my kids and see my grandkids. And I had all these great reasons why, and it never worked until I got my identity right with, I'm not a smoker, you know what I'm saying? But,
yeah, don't identify as a smoker. Don't associate yourself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was, dude. Every time somebody would ask me if you want a cigarette, nah, man, I'm trying to quit, or, you know, whatever. But that was my identity, was I was a smoker that was trying to quit, but I was still a smoker, and that's why it never worked. And I had all these great reasons why I should not smoke, but never did make it happen. But once I started saying like, no, I'm a healthy person. I'm a man of my word. I'm a hard worker. Like, you know, once I started getting that dialed in, people ask me now, like, hey, you want a cigarette? No, I'm not a smoker. You know,
yeah.
It's a whole
I love it, man. And I want to talk into podcasts in a second here, but it's interesting. Both my guests, including myself, we all got some ink here. So I have 2 questions when it comes to ink. And Leah, I'm going to ask you this question too. Show me if you can, or tell me about your first tattoo.
Yeah. First tattoo, I got to move this gigantic beard. I got across, you can't really see it, but it's on my chest. It says the word trouble. Funny
That's your first
story.
one.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
How old are you when you got that tat?
19.
Yeah.
And I was in prison, and it was the first tattoo. And I was like, I was trying to take on that identity. Like, I want to be a bad boy and all this stuff, whatever. But yeah, dude, it's crooked. It's like not horribly crooked, but it's crooked. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's prison for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear you, man. And which one's your favorite?
My favorite, man, the one I'm getting ready to get, which is you're gonna be like, no, don't do that. But I'm getting the Underdog Empowerment. We got the dog logo, and because I got the mohawk now, and I'm gonna slap it right here on the side of my head.
The beauty of the head tattoo, as opposed to other tattoos, is that it's the actual one of the few tattoos on your body that you could cover up without laser removal.
Yeah, for real.
Right? If you got hair on, right? You can put hair on, right? If you got hair or something, no, that's awesome, man. So I love it, dude. And it's funny, and I'm not going to stand up on the chair here, but I got a full sleeve on my leg, and it was my first tattoo, right? And I got a couple more. This one is my tenacity owl. It's kind of hard to show on camera here, but I got a full Monty going on there. But yeah, I love talking about ink, man. So talking about podcasting, man, how'd you get into it?
Pure hustle and dumb luck. Honestly,
Welcome to my life.
Right. It was 3.5 years after I got out of prison, and I was broke as a joke and just trying everything, and nothing was working. And podcasts happened to be the next thing that we were going to try. Before it, nobody gave me the time of day. Anytime I tried to collaborate with any entrepreneur, dude, it was like, who's this joker, this clown?
Yeah.
He's trying to be an entrepreneur. It's a matter of time before he's back in prison. Like, it's literally what I was dealing with all the time. And anyways, launched a podcast, Underdog Empowerment. I launched it because of that, because I was pissed off. But launched it, got it ranked on Apple on day 3. Next week had Billie Jean as marketing on the show, and it's just been blowing up ever since. It's been a wild 2 years ride. But at that point, though, dude, I literally went from 1 week, nobody wanting anything to do with me, to interviewing all the heavy hitters and stuff. It was
amazing.
crazy.
I mean, that's a power of podcasting, right? So let's get to podcasting a little bit. I mean, I got a little show I do over here. It's been building up over a couple of years here. What's the draw? Why is it like everyone and their fucking mother and their cat and their fucking mailman has a podcast? Why does everybody want to have a podcast? What is so cool about a podcast?
Yeah, well, people are just now. It started in 2018 is when it started really booming, but they're now seeing it, and it's because of the Nielsen report, Nielsen research, stats and facts. Man, like, dude, people that listen to podcasts, at the over 80% of the people that listen to podcasts earn an average annual income of 75,000 or more. So people that listen to podcasts, they got money. On top of that, 87% of the people that listen to podcasts listen to all or most of the episodes. So that's a lot of attention that you're commanding with your brand. Then on top of that, they're just like people that watch Netflix. So they will not just watch, they'll binge it, man. They'll listen to all of your episodes and all the way through. And so it's like, it's a lot of attention that you're commanding through your brand of people that already got money. And on top of that, they're very highly educated. Most of them have a bachelor's degree. And you can go check all this stuff out on Nielsen reports. Like this is legit.
But another stat I hear, and I don't have a number in front of me, but I think the vast majority, I think it's over 50%, 60% of podcasts don't make us past 10 episodes.
Dude,
why people fail? Why is it so hard?
Here's why. They quit between episode 8 and 13. That's why I don't go on people's podcasts unless you got at least 15 episodes, and I prefer to have at least 50 because I want to know if you're going to be serious about it or not. Because we live in the day and age where everybody wants this instant gratification, this success overnight, this bullshit that doesn't exist, right? And so they get to 8 episodes. Oh, there's only 50 people downloading my episodes after 8 episodes. I'm like, you didn't give it time to grow. Yeah.
Bro, you know Jordan Paris? Do you know who Jordan Paris is on the platform?
I think so.
He told me, Growth Mindset University, and he's one of these just awesome young old souls that I absolutely love, and he's taught me a lot about podcasting as a host, the production side, and everything. And early on, I had him on. I think around episode like 17, 20, whatever it was, and he's like, "Dude, make it to 50." He's like, "Push yourself, keep going." I made it to 50, and then it was on to 100, which I'm coming up on right now. And I think what people don't understand, what I think that people don't understand is how much effort goes into creating a show, the amount of work, the amount of time, the amount of dedication, and ultimately it comes down to preparation, right? Preparing and listening to your audience. Talk to me a little bit about your philosophy about podcasting.
Yeah, I mean, so if we're talking about preparing and stuff, like, dude, like right now I have I'm batched out to almost Thanksgiving right now, in mid-November. And what that allows you to do is you're not scrambling last minute to try and piece together some content, but it also gives you that space. So now what I notice is like, which is really cool that we're having this conversation too, because I'm getting ready. So in the beginning, I would interview anybody, right? But then I noticed that if the higher level, bigger name guests, like the Andy Frisillas, the Billy G, whatever, the Grant Cardones, all that, when I interviewed them, I got more downloads. More people were more excited. People were sharing it. It just helped grow through the podcast. So I was like, okay, that's what my audience wants. So I'm just going to focus on big name guests. And I've been doing that for a while. But by batching, that allows me to cherry pick. You know what I'm saying? Being ahead, I can always line it up that way. And plus now I got a team, that we offer that as a service even. So it's not actually me starting those conversations.
Let's interject for a second. There's a double-edged sword about batching, because at one point, and I literally have not recorded a show in the full audio podcast in almost 7 weeks. Batching was great, right? At one point I was 12, 13 episodes ahead, right? I was good on the schedule and everything. But the problem was some of the content and the guests would get stale and they wouldn't be as engaged when I did the cross promotion. So I think there's a delicate balance there for me, which I'm moving into after episode 99 forward. I think a good cadence for me personally is to be about 4 or 5 episodes ahead. That gives enough time for production. Say I want to take a week or two off because, other work is coming through or kids or holidays, whatever. It gives me that bandwidth.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. You got to find out what works for you. Also, I would say this is a pro tip, bro, because I don't know if you ever experienced this, but early on when I was podcasting, I would notice that people that I had on the show didn't share out the episode. And I got pissed off, and I'm like, "What the hell?"
Me too.
I'm bringing you on my platform, bro, and you're not even sharing it out with your audience. Like, it's disrespectful. Yeah, I don't get that, man. But I got the workaround, and now I got a tactic that you can use that has never failed me ever since. And it's this simple. You ever read Influence by Robert Cialdini?
No, I've not.
Really good book. it's about human behavior principles. So anyway, long story short, there's a principle in there called the human need to stay consistent with what we commit to publicly. Basically saying if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it, because most of us are good people, unless you're just a shitbag, right? But so that's the principle, right? And he gave this really crazy story about how the Vietnam was manipulating the American POWs award to support the communism government over the American government by getting them to make small micro commitments supporting communism over American, which was crazy. But anyways, we're not doing that, but we're going to use that principle here. All you got to do before I hit record, I'm always like, hey, look, man, I just got one requirement for coming on the show, and that is to share this out when it goes live with your audience. I'll shoot you some cool little assets to do it with. But what that's going to do, that's going to help more people see this podcast. And then what that does, it helps us climb higher in the rankings on Apple, which is going to we're going to be more front facing on Apple, which is going to be more people that don't know either you or me discover this interview. So do you agree to that? Whenever this goes live, you'll share it out for your audience? Yeah, man, no problem. Cool. Awesome, dude. Let's get right into it. Boom. We do it. And then I follow up with them when it goes live, and we have created little audiograms and images and stuff, a little guest sharing package. And when it goes live, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I really, really connected with you. It was really dope. Talk about whatever it is that you liked about that specific conversation, and be like, hey, and I also really appreciate you agreeing to share this out with your audience. Here's some assets that we created for you. Made you look real good. You could tag me on this or whatever. Hey, thanks again. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
I love it. It's about being organized here. So, I mean, you and I could talk for hours on this, but we're coming upon our next guest in a few minutes here. So there's a couple things I want to talk about podcasting. What's the key to growth, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the key, man? And like, I mean, there's a lot of different, approaches here, slow and steady, mass appeal, advertising, what's like, how do you truly grow your podcast audience?
Pick your strategy and be consistent with it. And here's a great one that I do. I'm doing it right now. Go on other podcasts that align with yours and plug your podcast, Underdog Empowerment. But
plug away, brother.
That's what do that, dude. And dude, we're getting over 20,000 downloads, and it's all organic. I haven't even touched paid ads yet. We're gonna do paid ads eventually, but I ain't had to yet. Yeah.
So and who doesn't love an underdog story?
Amen.
Right? It's a comeback story. Yeah. And I'd love to come on your show one day, and we could talk offline, man. I got a pretty good one myself here. So a couple things I want to ask, and I ask these questions to every guest on my show, because for me, this is my masterclass, man. I used to love to read before my kids were born, and I still read a couple of books a year, but I used to read a lot. So like, this is my masterclass, and that's what my podcast is, man. It's twofold. One, it's my canvas. It's my canvas to showcase the amazing folks like yourself and Leah in my network to the world, and introduce you to my tribe, and vice versa. It's also my masterclass to learn, man. It's osmosis. The shit that I learned from everybody here, from folks from different cross sections of life, business, marketing, sports, politics, all that shit, right? Like that's for me. And the other piece of it too, man, is to spread the love, right? I mean, that's what it's really about, right? It's to spread it and build audiences and collaborate and everything. So a couple of questions here, and to gain perspectives. What's the greatest piece of advice that you've ever received, Zach, that you take action on every single day of your life?
Ooh, you put me on the spot there, man, because I'm like you, dude. I've gotten a lot of great advice through the podcast, man. Like, dude, world-class consulting from people that would otherwise be unreachable. You get to ask them whatever you want, dude. The best. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the stuff that's recent right now, because I could say at different phases that was like the best piece of advice I ever got at that particular time, and it was. But right now, I recently had an interview with Andy Frisilla. I was at First Form headquarters, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, man, I explained my situation. We're currently scaling our 6-figure podcast marketing agency. When you were building First Form and you were in a multiple 6 figures, scaling to 7 and beyond, what did you focus on as a CEO at that time?" And then he broke it down, man. And he was like, man, the systems stuff, it's like in these little phases and stuff. And at first you got to document these systems of how you operate your business yourself, like record them. And then you bring on your people after you have those in, and then they can take a hold of them and then improve upon them or whatnot. But you just bust it down in phases. And then in the beginning, like you don't have all this cash flow, but then once you get into phase 3, where you got an abundance of cash flow, then you can truly go all in and invest in all these different departments, like the marketing department. You're going to go double down here.
You got to scale.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's incredible, man. And I wanted to spend time, but we don't have any time today. I want to talk about the Tucker Max interview, man. Like, he asked a couple of questions and he flipped the script on you. He flipped that shit on you, man, but you handled it well, right? He brought up your mom. He brought up the fact that you're contradicting yourself. And I don't want to talk about it now. I want to park it for a later conversation. We're going to have a part 2 and I'll talk to you about that. But the way you handled it, man, because I could hear it in your voice. As a podcaster, I also know, because I've had some guests that challenge me back, which I love. I love when a guest pushes back on me, but you handled it well. And I could almost like feel and hear you like internalizing it and thinking about it. And I felt you get upset, but then you handled it well, man. Like you took it and you flipped it and you kept it going. So kudos to that, my dude.
thank you, man.
And last but not least, man, listen, man, you've been in the darkest fucking places that any human could be. You were literally in the hole, the literal hole of holes. And you're in the worst moments in your life. And when you were there, man, you had to reach down deep inside. You had to reach down somewhere that you never knew existed inside of you. Right. And pull yourself up and harness that fucking tenacity, brother. And you did it. And then on the flip side of that, when you want to show gratitude, man, where you are now and everything's kicking it and things are going well, what's your North Star, Zach?
Man, this is going to sound cheesy because so many, I can't, because, you see so many fake entrepreneurs, that are, you could tell, we could tell bullshit when we see it. But this truly does like drive the shit out of me. Like this company that I'm building now, I love it, super passionate about it, love every piece of it. And there's a strong mission and why we're doing it behind it. But this is phase 1. This is leading to the venture 2. Venture 2 is going to be the outsourcing company that helps convicted felons coming out of prison that were just like myself. And we're not going to give them nothing. We're going to truly empower them and let them become the people they need to become to stay out here and be successful and be in their families' lives and be a productive member of society. So long-term goal, 9% recidivism rate nationwide in the U.S., which if you look at the recidivism rates in the U.S., fucking crazy. But yeah, hey, that's what
I think it's what, like 75, 80%. It's something absolutely insane. Yeah. And that's what programs that you're talking about, the 5 Ventures, all these other programs, it's to empower people.
Yeah,
exactly. Give someone a true second chance. So I want to wrap it up here, and I'm going to bring in my second guest, Leah Turner, in a minute. Thank you, everyone, for being patient here. It's split squad. We got to wait your fucking turn. So everyone relax. Hold your horses. We'll be there in a second. Zach, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And lastly, where could folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
Yeah, man. Dude, best place, underdogempowerment.com. Got the podcast linked right on the homepage and all the other social media channels, whichever one you're on or prefer to connect on. Adam, thanks for having me, dude. I had a blast, man.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring on Leah because I like to have Leah. You're live. You're on.
Hi.
Yeah, we're there. I love to introduce my guests. You guys know each other?
Zach messaged me just the other day to say hi when you put the message out. So no, we haven't really had a chance to speak yet. So it was great listening to your half hour. You're very inspirational. I can see why Adam wanted you on his podcast.
I love your tattoos.
Well, we got the ink show here.
I thought I had like the tattoos
going on. I've had on a show.
Yeah. Those are nice.
Thank you.
Well, this is awesome, and I encourage you guys to connect and share stories and see how you continue to add value. I think that's the magic of LinkedIn, right?
Definitely.
When you could take 2 folks that may have not. I mean, that's my superpower, is being that conduit to connect folks there. So, Zach, I'll touch base with you offline. Leah, do you have your phone on? Is there something? I hear the echo there. Do you have the phone on the audio?
No,
because it's a 3-second delay. All right, we'll fix that in a second. Zach Babcock, thank you so much, my man. We will connect and we'll catch you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Now
take care.
Out. Come on. All right, we did it. We're connected. Yeah. Leah Turner, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I can just see my friends in the waiting, like in the chat, all going crazy. Sorry about that.
Oh my God. No, I love it. I love rabid fans. That's incredible. And you have built in an insanely short amount of time an incredible following and service and everything that you're doing on LinkedIn. And we're going to get to that in a second here. But before we do that, I would love if you could introduce yourself to my audience. Tell everybody kindly who you are and what you do best.
Okay, well, it's pronounced Leah, but Americans always call me Leah, Princess Leia. I was a small business owner that just owned a little transcription company who started poking around on LinkedIn in October, the end of October last year, with 400 connections. And I hid behind my business logo because I thought this doesn't belong on LinkedIn. And I sort of emerged from behind the curtain and took a shot at just being myself and thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen? And about 2 months later, I had 10,000 followers, and now we're drawing close to 50,000. And about 3.5 months ago, I decided to harness what I'd learned in that time and start teaching other people how to be great at LinkedIn. And that's gone from strength to strength, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
that's incredible. And going back to what you said in the beginning, you were kind of hesitant or scared to come out from behind the curtain because of maybe you just felt like this outward would not translate well. Like what was your concern? Like what was it? Did you feel like, and I don't want to get too personal, like, but what was it? Did you feel like insecure? Did you feel like you could be yourself, or you didn't understand the platform?
It wasn't insecurity. It's actually the same thing that people come to me all the time about when they come for a coaching session. They say to me, I just always think of LinkedIn as being really corporate, and that it's not a place for people that aren't corporate. And I'm not corporate. I've never worked in the corporate world. I worked building surveyors before I was self-employed, and never in sort of big companies. I didn't have to wear suits for work. I never commuted or anything like that. And I didn't earn a big salary at any point in my life. So I just sort of thought, LinkedIn is for recruiters. It's for finding jobs. It's not for people like me with little tiny businesses that look alternative, that just don't. I wouldn't go to an interview with one of those companies with my tattoos out. So I felt like it wasn't for me. But I was wrong. I was really wrong.
You were wrong, because people buy from people.
And people
relate to people.
And I stand out.
People. And you stand out, in a good way. And if anybody's going to judge you based on your outward appearance, that's not somebody you want to do business with anyway. Fuck them. No. That's not going to be your customer. So early on in LinkedIn, you see the traction pick up, and I applaud you for that, because there's many different approaches on LinkedIn. And I've been on this platform since 2006 on day one, in the beginning there. But you experienced tremendous growth. Really? Why? Fast. How did that happen?
I don't know. Like at the beginning, I don't really know. I wasn't really posting a lot. Because I wasn't really sure what to post. The same thing that everybody says to me, I don't really know what to post. And I just watched what other people were posting and talking about. And I really got involved, commenting lots on other people's content and getting involved in conversations and getting familiar with certain crowds of people, and actually looking forward to logging onto LinkedIn and finding that I was having really lovely conversations and becoming friends with people. And I realized that LinkedIn isn't just about business opportunities and job hunting. It's actually building friendships and communities with people that support each other. And I genuinely, I'm a bit of a social media queen. I love like Instagram and Facebook. I don't deal with Twitter because just
it's a cesspool.
It really is. And it all just moves a bit too fast for me. But LinkedIn is such a supportive place. And I have met genuine friends off LinkedIn that I've now known for 6 or more months, and they're people that will go out of their way to help me and support me and encourage me, and I do the same back to them. And I'm suddenly being able to access people like me, because I've never been around other entrepreneurs, because I've been self-employed in a job where I sit at home on my own with a pair of headphones on all day. I haven't encountered a lot of other business people, and suddenly I've got a whole world of them in front of me, and they all want to know me, and I want to learn from them, and it's been life-changing.
It has been life-changing, and LinkedIn's a fantastic platform. And I want to get one thing out of the way here, right? And there is that dark side of LinkedIn, and we see it all over the place, and there's a lot of asshole creepers, garbage people on LinkedIn, and I'm only assuming here that you have gotten your fair share of trolls.
I had one of my biggest viral posts was because somebody was inappropriate to me.
And I'm sure you get your fair share. So I want to get this one question out of the way and move on. How do you react to that, and how do you handle it?
I don't like it. I don't want comments on my appearance on LinkedIn. I don't want messages commenting on the way I look, because that's not why I'm on LinkedIn. Right. Don't care if you like my tattoos or not, because I tell you what, I'm asking about your opinion when I get people all the time like, oh, I don't normally like tattoos on women, but yours are quite nice, or I really like your ink. Like, it's nice, cool, but I don't really care because it's mine and your opinion doesn't really matter, because whether you like it or not, it's still on me forever. So
Yeah, you didn't get we didn't get tattoos for other people.
exactly. Well,
right?
if you do, it's stupid.
It's a bill, unless you're paying me to put a billboard on you. I mean, that's not what's happening there. And it's really a shame. Right. I mean, it's really a shame across any social media channels, right? That people just can't be good human beings, and it's fucking shitty, and it's a reflection on them. And I actually think it's great when people name and shame folks, because it's wrong and it shouldn't be happening on this platform here. And so let's get back to the good stuff. I follow you, and I do it passively, and I also do it engaging wise, and I like to see how you engage with your followers and your fans, and it's absolutely been tremendous to see there. So prior to shifting into the LinkedIn coaching and engagement, tell us a little bit about your business.
So I run a transcription business. So I work for doctors and lawyers and psychologists and all sorts of different people. Anybody who's got an audio file that they need turning into a transcript. So HR hearings, disciplinaries, interviews, so many interviews I do. And I love them. It's really diverse. It's really interesting. But obviously, I don't have as much time now to do it. So I've got this incredible assistant, Naomi, and a couple of other ladies that help me as well. And Naomi's basically been an absolute godsend. She's taking over a lot of the transcription now.
It's called scaling. It's called being an entrepreneur. It's one of the first lessons of being a business owner.
For me as well, which is really crucial at the moment, because I'm a single mum, and I'm not a single mum. I'm an only parent. So my little boy's just about to turn 5 and start school, and of course I'm now running sort of 2 businesses effectively. They're under one umbrella, but effectively 2 separate businesses. And all of the things that go with being a parent as well, and running a household, and my bonkers little dog that's always running around. Family all over the country. So it's tricky to juggle it all. It's amazing. I wouldn't change it. You. But yeah, it's tough. But
it is. And so let's talk about that decision. Was it kind of trial and error to say, hey, I'm going to take a stab at LinkedIn coaching, or did people come to you first and ask for it? Was it the chicken or the egg?
It was kind of a bit of both. So I'd had a few people say to me, oh my God, how do you get so many followers so quickly? What is it you're doing? How do you get so much engagement? And I said, I gave them some advice. I spent a bit of time on the phone, and one of them said to me, well, why don't you do this? And I thought, well, there's a few other people that do it. And actually, I know loads of what they're teaching, and I'm picking up all this stuff that I'm learning. I'm not just learning from my own posts, but I'm learning from watching what does well with other people. And I just sort of made mental notes about it all and started absorbing it, saying, well, this works really well, and this way of interacting works well, and this is the logical things that you can do to help. And I sort of wrote it all down, and I went, I could probably charge money for this. So I floated the idea with my audience, with my sort of following, and a few people said, yeah, we'd love to. So I offered one of them a free session and said, what did you think? Yeah, I said, well, what did you think? Do you think I know enough that I can charge money for this? And he said, yeah, you do. I think you need a bit more structure in it. And I said, okay, that's fine. And he gave me some constructive feedback, and I just started offering it for, it was £99. That's sort of cliche number that we all use. But then after doing about 10 sessions, I got told off by several of my coaching clients, and they said, you're not charging enough. Stop thinking about the value prop. Think about the product that you're giving them all this knowledge. That's worth way more than £99. So I just went, fuck it, and doubled it.
Good on you. And no one flinched, right?
No one flinched. No.
And the other piece is, just to interject quickly, right here, just to interject quickly when it comes to coaching and everything too. What you set your price for also determines how much skin in the game that the client is going to have. And I know this firsthand. I have an executive coach that is on paper extremely expensive, and he's worth every penny. At the same point, it's also accountability, knowing that I'm going to make my investment, both my time and my money, into this, and I'm going to give it my all. If he charged me freaking $50, you think I give a fuck about what I'm doing there? I wouldn't give a shit. Who cares? Right. But when you have genuine skin in the game, you have more of a vested interest, and you're going to take it more seriously.
And realistically, one of my coaching sessions, if someone lands one client, one lead from LinkedIn that turns into a client, they've paid it several times over.
100%.
So actually, it's really not. And one of the things I pride myself on as well is that it doesn't feel like a coaching session. As far as I've been told, people enjoy it. It's like sitting down with a mate. It's all very relaxed. It's all chatty. We have a good chat about them and their lives and the things, the inspirational things that have gone on for them, and sort of say, you know, that's great content. You know, all the technical stuff is included. All the stuff I know about the algorithms and hashtags and all of that. That's all included. But it's the content. It's digging into people's lives and saying, why aren't you talking about that? That's amazing. You're incredible.
So let's talk. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit, and we'll call this a free coaching session. Listen, I know what the hell I'm doing on this platform too. I could do this coaching thing, but let's talk to people about, like, I think, and this is just my take, and I'd like to see, there's a lot of loud voices on LinkedIn. I consider myself one of them. And by loud, I mean, there's a small percentage of people that are actually creating and producing content versus the people that are not. And I think some people, there's a lot of barriers to it. They don't know what to say. They overthink it. They don't know if it's going to resonate as well. They don't know how to put their own voice out there. So what's like kind of the first step you do with somebody that comes to you and is looking for coaching on how to engage, how to perform, how to do better on the platform?
The first thing I tell people is to stop thinking of it as the corporate boardroom. It's not like that. And you need to forget that, put that out of your head. There are people that will still say to you, oh, it's only for applying for jobs and talking strictly business. But those people are not getting business from LinkedIn. They're not generating leads because people just look at their content and yawn and scroll past, right? It's not interesting. If you're just sales pitch, business post, it's boring.
They're exposed to scroll over you. If you're not switching it up and keeping it fresh and engaging in edutainment, then you're going to lose them.
I try to get across the idea that, so in the UK, we talk about shopping local, which means choosing the smaller shops just down the street rather than going to the big supermarkets, the big faceless brands, right?
Of course.
So you kind of want to position yourself as the local shopkeeper. You are the friendly face that people want to do business with because they know where their money's going. They see the person benefiting from your business. And if you can position yourself like that on LinkedIn, so you're talking about successes, you know, parenting wins, holidays, life experiences that have challenged you that you've got over, you're telling all these people wonderful things about how determined you are. But you're also becoming a person to them. You're not just text on a screen. You're creating a bond with those people and they care and they want to see you succeed. And if you can bridge that gap, they're going to either want to do business with you or recommend you to people. And that's the thing. If you can be real, you know, the good bits and the bad bits, people care. And that's it on LinkedIn. People do care. There are dickheads. Of course, there are dickheads. There are dickheads on every platform in the world, but it's a reflection on themselves, not you. But making people care about you and caring back, like it's got to be two-way.
That's spot on. The engagement can't be a one-way street. It cannot be. I mean, it may be, you know, unless you're fucking Gary Vaynerchuk out there who even engages as well too. But these are people at a different level. You know, these are people at an absolutely different level. So, I mean, when it comes to the actual content, right? Yeah. What are some of those tactics and tips to help people find their voice? Find their voice, and then we're going to dig into formatting a little bit. We're not going to you know, give all the secrets away, because then I could take this video and turn it into my own 99-pound coaching session. Maybe I charge 150. I've
got a hungry 4-year-old to feed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. I got an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old that my 2-year-old he could eat the 8-year-old under the table. I mean, it's crazy, this big boy. So content journey starting. What are some basic 101 starter tips?
You need to find the content that you have. So one of the things that I like to recommend people do is create a mind map of who they are. And I mean, dig deep. It doesn't have to all be content. You don't have to disclose your deep, darkest secrets on LinkedIn. That is not a prerequisite for being successful.
You don't have to be too open.
No, it's about what you're comfortable with. And you always, so if you have a mind map of who you are, and it can be everything, holidays that you've been on, food that you like to eat, quotes that inspire you, experiences that challenged you, mistakes that you've made, embarrassing situations that you had to overcome, all of those different things, they contribute to who you are right now. And that's the person that I'm going to do business with. But more than anything, we all connect with people on things that generally aren't work related.
Absolutely.
So I might not have anything in common with you when it comes to business, and our paths can't cross. But you've just said to me that you've got a small child that can eat for days. We could sit and have a whole conversation about what it's like to have a small boy that eats.
And you can give me food tips, right? Have you tried, if he doesn't like this food, have you tried that one? Does he like his hot dogs with honey or ketchup on them, right?
Let's put the broccoli and hide it in the pasta sauce, right?
Exactly.
But we can connect on something that's real to us, something that we're passionate about. So if you're only ever talking about business, you're not giving people the opportunity to connect with you on other things that they have in common with you. So if you allow people to know other things about you, you can get that connection established, and then you'll go on to talk about business because you've got that rapport. And it's much more natural.
Absolutely. Right. Having natural organic conversations is absolutely key. And then, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the LinkedIn algorithm, because there's two schools of thought here. I am conscious of it because I'm a content creator, right? And I want my content to do well, but at the same time, I don't overthink it, right? I'm not trying to hack the system, but if you're going to play with the rules, you got to know what the rules are, right? If you're going to play a game, you have to know what the rules are. And the algorithm changes all the time, and the algorithm, for better or worse, is really, they're trying to do a good job of doing two things. They're trying to democratize and give everyone a voice, because what happens is the louder voices are heard, and that's because of the engagement. That's because of some of the bad shit out there, like the engagement pods that are moving things along there. So
we've had to chat about that before, haven't we?
No, I'm not. No, and we're not spending the time talking about it, but we're just laying the groundwork to say why it's hard for certain people who are new to the platform to have their voices heard. So when we talk about the platform, what's some of the best ways to ensure that your voice is heard and seen?
I think the biggest thing that people overlook is how important it is to get involved in commenting, because when you've got your name and your headline there visible, every single time you comment on anything that appears in the news feeds of your connections, they're going to see so-and-so, Adam commented on this, and this is what he said, and Adam commented on this, and this is what he said, or Adam liked this. They're seeing your name, they're seeing your headline every single time you engage with somebody else. So you're getting that visibility, and they're seeing you and what you have to say without you actually having to write a post.
True.
So you don't have to be creating content. It's a lot of pressure. And I say that to the people that I coach. I say, I'm not expecting you to go out and create 5 pieces of great content every week. It's not going to happen. It's going to be like dieting, right? And I always say this to them, you'll do 3 days, you'll be absolutely starving, it'll be too much, and you'll binge on a Domino's, because you can't, it's not sustainable. So it's a gradual thing. Post a few times a week, post some good content, and go out and get involved in the conversations with other people.
Absolutely.
And you'll gradually start to think of more content when you're starting to be inspired by other people's content.
It's testing and learning too. And one piece of advice that I give and I practice all the time, I use the notes sections in my phone, because inspiration comes to me at any time, and I'll just put thought starters on there. I'll put everything from a thought starter to a fully thought out post. Yes. I might be somewhere, right? I may not be by my computer, and I'll want to write it later. And sometimes I'll sit on that post for a couple of weeks because it's an evergreen piece of content. It's a thought, an idea. And one thing I want to say, like, listen, like, people look at my content, and I have been doing this for a long time, and I have a podcast, which we're on now. And from this show, I'm able to generate a lot of content from that, but not everybody has these tools. So that's one piece of the repertoire, which makes it very easy for me to have a content calendar and bang out content and put up the numbers and everything. But you don't need that. No. There's a couple of things tips that I give. It's very simple. If you go on your LinkedIn feed, you open it up on the PC, you can see that the top news is trending there. There's about 10 different topics there. And I guarantee you, at least one of those topics is going to be something that you have an opinion on. You might be an expert on, you might be a thought leader on, or maybe you're just like, you know what? I got something to say on this. So there's so many things out there in the universe that are content starters. And you could also get great ideas from other people's content. And I'm not talking about stealing or plagiarizing, but
it's
riff on it. You could be informed. You could say, hey, listen, I just saw something on Leah's post, and now I want to riff on it. Right. But give credit to them. But there's so many idea starters out there.
There are tons of ideas, and there's literally content in everything that you do. I've written posts that are literally just comedy things about something. I posted something about a drawer that got stuck the other day, and it got like 25,000 views. And I was just like, literally visual representation of how my week's going, because I had a bit of a chaotic week up until this point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, I'm done today. And I posted that video, and it got loads of views. And okay, it's not strictly business related, but you know what? People have felt a way about it. It's given them a smile, and it's created a little bit of a conversation. And we've all had a little giggle to ourselves.
Yeah.
Facebook, and I wouldn't ordinarily post things like that. And I do tend to keep it more inspirational. But sometimes you just want to chuck something that's a bit comedy out there, don't you? Because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not serious all the time.
I wouldn't think that you are. There's got to be another side there, right? You know, there's definitely multiple sides.
There really is. I'm everything you see on LinkedIn is the way I am. And of the people, there's a few people in the comments now that I have actually met in person, and they would say the same thing.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people have that trouble. I mean, but on a serious note, right? Like, I think that it's hard for some folks to listen. It's bad advice to say that you have to go all in and be your full self, full transparency on any social media platform. I think it's important to keep certain things inside, right? Like, I rarely show my kids, sparingly here and there for the certain reasons. That's my decision. Other people are very out there with their families and their kids on LinkedIn and other social platforms. But it's about finding what A is going to resonate, and B, more importantly, how comfortable you are sharing that. Because the last thing you want to do is push yourself too far out of your comfort zone just for the sake of engagements or conversations. Do it because it feels right. Do it because it feels something naturally.
If you feel that your audience, your network, are going to benefit something really, really significant from it. Like, I've shared stories about my past to an extent. Coming from a poor family, losing my father, being an only parent, and the fact that I've managed to get myself off of the welfare checks that were helping me pay my rent as a result of the LinkedIn coaching. Like, I've shared all these stories, which are, I'm hoping, inspiring for people that might be in the situation I was in and can look at me and go, she did it, I can do it. And because there are women that I look at, especially women, but lots of other people as well. But generally speaking, I look at these women and I'm like, look at them, look at how successful they are. I want that. I can do that because they're just like me. And I want to be that for somebody else as well, like paying it forward.
I love
so
it.
I talk about that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I do keep back. And it's, I guess, part of my problem at the moment that I'm personally struggling with is that I've started getting recognized in public. And that's something, because my profile has grown through the British lockdown. I've gone from sort of 10,000, 15,000 connections when lockdown happened to now verging on 50,000. And my content is seen by like 2 million people a month.
Yeah, it's great.
While that's great, and the benefits that I'm getting are great, I've been approached a couple of times in public, and twice was with my son, and I felt very uncomfortable. And that's not to say I won't get used to it.
Right. And there's two sides of it too, right? I don't think people know boundaries, right? I mean, they
feel like they know me because I talk so openly.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a delicate balance, and there's a good and bad to that, right? I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, oh, look, I'm somewhat, LinkedIn famous, right, for good reasons, but you also have to be, especially when you go into mama bear mode, right? You need to, protect your son. You don't know who these people are.
Well, this is it. And I had to take precautions. Like, my company is limited. So I had to start using a registered address. I'm paying to use a different address because it would otherwise be linked, publicly available to where I live. And I had to remove my phone number from my business website, which was always there, because I started getting inappropriate phone calls and messages. And while it's all very fun, there are certain things that I now have to take into consideration, being a woman alone with a child, for our own safety, because the overwhelming majority of people on LinkedIn are wonderful people, but there have been a few situations where I've had to
and that's just a shame, and we don't wish on anybody. Leah, who do you look up to? What women, whether they be famous or whether we won't know them at all, who do you look up to? Who inspires you?
At the moment, it's actually women that I do know, and they've rallied around me to support me and say, you can do this. because I've never realized that I'm a natural entrepreneur until I started coming on LinkedIn. So Alice Stevenson, who founded a law firm 3 years ago, and she's only 38. She's got 3 kids and a wonderful husband, and she just upped to move to Amsterdam during lockdown, and just because she wanted to. And she's running a very, very, very successful tech law firm. And I look at her and I think, wow, she's goals. There's also Claire Muscat, who is a global keynote speaker on customer experience. She is. Yeah, she is there. And there's also a lady called Claire Russell, who has, if you've not heard her story, she's done TED Talks, and she has lived through so much. And she is an incredible woman, that she's survived it and she's still fighting, and she's incredibly successful as well.
Awesome.
And I just look at those women and I think, obviously I should be saying the standard. My mum is very inspiring. She's an incredibly strong woman, but she's not a career woman. So when it comes to career, those 3 women are like my goals, and they're women I talk to regularly. So
I'm gonna link them up too if anybody wants to check them out. Leah, what's been the toughest? It's a 2-part question. The toughest struggle that you've had in your entrepreneurship journey, and what did you learn from that and move forward?
Oh my gosh.
I said this is gonna be easy. I've been doing this for a while.
I think recently it's been trying to navigate starting a new business, maintaining the old business during lockdown with a 4-year-old at home and no access to any other childcare because the schools were shut. So that's probably been my biggest struggle. And then having Naomi on side has now made that more possible, and having so many wonderful clients that are paying me and trusting me with and giving me all these opportunities. That's made it all possible. But yeah, definitely I had to run my business, my typing business, with a newborn baby all on my own from the beginning. So but a 4-year-old is a whole different kettle of fish. They need constant entertainment. So that has oh my God, they're utterly exhausting. And of course, when you're transcribing, you need your headphones on and you need to sit and concentrate for long periods. You can't with a 4-year-old around. So I was working at night and I'm so tired that I can't focus, because
you don't want them just stuck on the iPad all day or the telly. You don't want any of that, right? You want to be engaged.
I did have to give in to that a bit, but it was
time and place, right?
Yeah, I don't have family nearby, and even if I had, they'd be shielding and we couldn't mingle with them. So it was just me and him, and we just had to get on with it.
We got through it, and hopefully we're coming out on the other side. What's going on in the UK over there? What's the climate?
Well, where I live is on the verge of going back into a local lockdown. But we're basically just wearing masks in public places, public transport. We're all right outdoors. Schools are starting to come back now. So it's a lot better than it is in America from the sounds of it.
I mean, listen, our schools are opening up next week. I'm in suburban. You been to New York?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not too far from JFK Airport. I mean, we could get all meta here. I'm on the South Street. You can see the painting in my co-working space. I'm like right by the beach here, which is great. Our schools are opening up next week, and my daughter's 8. She's going into 3rd grade, and the numbers are really low. And they're going back to a hybrid model where they're going to be in every other day. They're splitting the classes in half to have more room there. But it's stressful and it's scary. But I also believe that we need to move forward. And we need to get on with our lives. And listen, this virus isn't going away anytime soon. And we have to figure it out. And we're all in it together. And I'm confident, vaccine, all that kind of shit. We'll get past this. This is going to be a blip on the radar. And hopefully our kids won't remember it. And if they do, they'll understand that it was a time that maybe mommy and daddy spent a little bit more time with us, and they'll appreciate it. Which leads me to something that I love to talk about, Leah, which is silver linings. And silver linings are incredible, right? They usually come at times when things don't look so good on the outside. But there's so many amazing things to come out of it. So I would love if you could share a professional silver lining and a personal silver lining that you've experienced over the last 6 months.
Professionally, it's after 9 years of working on my own at home, isolated from the sort of working world and other people, COVID has made me realize that I need to get back out into the world, because when lockdown happened, I was like, well, it doesn't really feel that much different other than my son is at home. I'm just at home all day, and I'm at home all day anyway. And it made me realize that at my age now, I want to be back out into the world and meeting people, because LinkedIn's made me realize how much I enjoy socializing and interacting with people, but not just online. I want to do it face to face. I thrive on that.
Awesome.
So that has really opened. And so obviously starting the coaching has led to doing some in-house coaching, doing group coaching in businesses as well. So that's leading me into a whole different career. It's going to get me back out into the world of people.
Passionate. I hear it. I hear it in your voice that you're excited about what you are doing.
I really am. I've discovered
a
passion for something, and I've discovered a side of myself that I'd never really embraced.
Leah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's a spark. And like maybe, right. And it's each person's different in their own life journey, in their own career journey. For me, it was at 35. That's when I realized that I hated what I was doing and I needed to change careers and pivot. And then it wasn't until, 2 years ago when I launched the show that it brought out this whole other passion of mine of broadcasting and doing this podcasting. And I applaud you for that. Being an only parent, I mean, I can't imagine, because there's two of us and there's two kids, and it's insane with two of us. And I could only relate when I'm stuck with both kids by myself for short periods of time. What is your secret trick to being a great mom?
I don't know. My son, I'm very lucky. My little boy is exceptionally well behaved. He just always has been. I think the biggest key, and I was talking about this with my friend earlier, is I don't have to discipline him very often, because when I do discipline him, I am thorough, I am tough on him, and I don't back down. And so he knows when I put my foot down, that's it. And I don't mean I spank him or anything like that. He just knows that he's done wrong, and he goes to his room and he doesn't get his TV and he doesn't get his favorite snacks. It's all like, that's it. You've overstepped the mark. And I hate doing it. We all hate doing it.
Of course.
But I don't have to do it very often.
Discipline's the hardest part. And, first, again, thank you for joining. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for welcoming me into your tribe, and vice versa, introducing you to my audience. I mean, I applaud you for everything that you've been doing. I watch, right? And I see the success in a good way, not in a creepy way, in a good way. And it's just amazing to see people find their voices and find their stride and find their passion and just build. And I see the comments in your feed, and everyone's engaged and they give a crap about each other and they're helping. And you're a tribe leader. You've built a tribe and you built a community. And that's something you should really be proud of. You should be truly proud of your success and everything that you've done. You were doing it the right way. You're doing it with an open heart, and you're being empathetic. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And last but not least, right? Like you said it before, you've been in some dark places. You've been in some bad places in your life, and you've had to pull yourself up, and you have to find the strength. And in everything that you do, and in business and being a mom and everything, what is your North Star?
My son. Obviously. He's the reason for everything.
I love it.
I get all teary.
I love it. And I'm going to throw a curveball here. Last but not least.
Okay.
Tell us a funny joke.
Oh, you can't do that.
No, I'm not. I hate that joke. It's a stupid fucking question. We're going to go off it. Last but not least, give all of us here the best piece of advice you've ever received that you take action on every single day of your life.
Don't be afraid to fuck up.
Amen.
I think that's my biggest asset, is that I'm not afraid to try and go wrong, because at least I tried. Because you'll never win if you don't try.
I love it.
Yeah.
And Leah Turner, where could folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
I'm on, obviously, all over LinkedIn. So Leah Turner. You can find me on Instagram, Leah_Turner_. And my website is stereo-type.co.uk. So any of those. But, be prepared for lots of rude memes on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not quite PC on Instagram as I am.
I'm gonna have to follow you. I'll follow you from my professional account, because why not? It actually doesn't really matter. It's funny too. I've been playing around this week with Giphies, and I've been putting out one a week, and I'm trying this new content series called The Face I Make. I don't know if you've seen me do this over the last couple of days, but I am using it as an expression of things that I hate on the platform to kind of poke fun at it. And it's so crazy because we talked about it earlier. people love to laugh. They love to be, and the engagement levels on literally, I had a post of, what was it? It was, you ever see the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
It was a scene from Office Space with like one of the nerdy guys, and he's making like this sarcastic kind of eye roll face, literally crushing the numbers if we look at it, versus literally a podcast I did with the global head of people from McDonald's, and the meme face crushed it. And I'm like, what? Like it doesn't even make sense sometimes.
Ever was about me not realizing that I've been watering an artificial plant. And
it stays so green. I must be doing something right.
Like 750,000 people saw it.
That's amazing. Leah Turner, thank you so much for hanging with us today. Hang with me for one moment as I sign off my show today. I want to chat for a quick second here. Everybody new to the podcast over across the pond there. I see a bunch of you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to connecting with you in my tribe. Definitely check out the podcast if you have not. Yeah, we're coming up on a holiday week here. So I'm actually taking this week off from putting out a new show, but there will be a fresh piece of content up on the site, the podcast over the weekend. It's going to be the audio version of my conversation from about a month back with my man, Marcus Glover, about racism in America. Real serious fucking shit we got into on that show, the opposite of this conversation right here, but it's important. That'll be up. And then we'll be back with the final stretch going into episode 100 of the show. I got episode 98 with Jeff Wall talking about the future of work, followed by episode 99 with the former governor of the state of New York, David Patterson, and working on episode 100. Who's it going to be? It's going to be a big one. Everyone in the U.S. have a great holiday week. Take care of each other. Everyone across the world, wash your hands, keep 6 feet apart, wear your face mask, look out for your fellow men and women, and be good. And catch us next week for another great episode of the podcast. Take care, everybody. Hang with